Hey everybody, welcome to Six Pack of Questions. Today we are live from Sam Marvin Photography with Sam Marvin. And this is how it works, Sam. I have 6 questions on this piece of paper for you that you're gonna answer and give the industry some insight from your point of view. Okay. But before we do that, so tell me real quick, just a little bit about you and your studio. I mean, we're sitting in your brand new studio, so I know you're obviously highly successful because this place is amazing. So yeah, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, we just opened the studio in March. March 1st was when we moved in. It's been kind of a long goal and dream. Kind of came a little faster than expected, but been in the business, photography for 20 years. Really started to focus on seniors 3 years ago, so we really just honed in on that, and that's where we've made a name for ourselves. So, but yeah, we opened in March and it's been great. We're looking forward to this season this year. So
awesome. All right, you ready for your questions?
Go for it.
Okay. So let's start with, what do you think works best for you when it comes to marketing?
So I think first of all, most importantly, our marketing is really very focused on our target, which is seniors, high school seniors. Mm-hmm. And really getting down to their level and working with who they are, who our real customer is. They're obviously our client, but our customer is mom and dad. Mm-hmm. So we have really 3 important aspects of our marketing. For the kids, the students, we focus on Instagram and Snapchat. Instagram because Instagram is where we show a little bit about what's going on, but we show teaser images of the actual shots from the shoot or the session that we take, and we use Snapchat to get students interacting, have competitions, and show them the behind the scenes of our days and what's going on in our lives, because they seem to really want to know and interact with that. As far as Facebook is what we use to communicate with our client or the customer themselves, which is the parent. So and I guess when I say communicate, that's where we give them the inside look, because a lot of the parents aren't on Instagram and Snapchat. Right. So Snapchat's actually growing significantly with us, but we still utilize Instagram a lot.
Awesome. What advice would you give yourself when you first started? So if you could pass a letter back to yourself when you first started, what would it say?
A lot of things, probably. I think the 2 key things that it would say are, number 1, don't ever give up. Mm-hmm. And number 2, learn. Actually, I'm going to go with 3 things. So okay. never give up, which is kind of a given. I think a lot of people would tell you that in photography.
Right.
Number 2 is learn what your cost versus expenses are. Mm-hmm. And really understand pricing, because that's been, I think once I really got that down and got comfortable with that, that's where I started to succeed. I guess the 3rd thing would be actually probably back to the first and most important, would be education. So really, I'm not a big one on commercial education, like going through like a college kind of thing.
Right.
I know that there's a great bit of benefit there, but really the education amongst other professional photographers is really a key thing that has helped us succeed.
Right, and I hear that a lot. I hear, when I ask this question of other photographers, I hear a lot about like, get a mentor or follow people that are successful, and I think just in general, surround yourself with people that are successful. That's the real education for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, question number 3. What are you most excited about in the industry?
I would have to say the thing that I am most excited about in the industry is something that seems like is becoming more and more of a thing. I think maybe I'm even missing the boat a little bit on it, is the camaraderie amongst other photographers, the communication and the networking. So as I was growing up, I started my business when I was 15, and no other photographer wanted to have anything to do with me because they didn't want to train their competition. I had that mentality up until about 3 years ago, actually, when I first became a part of an organization and started to educate, and that's really when I started to network with other photographers, and I found out, hey, this is actually a huge value to my business instead of a hindrance. So one thing I learned is that people have to have the desire and want it worse than I do. And not only the ability to do what we do. So really helping people was no longer was an issue or a concern.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I think that whole networking thing's huge. Like you and I talk on the phone quite a bit and stuff, and I don't think 10 years ago a lot of that happened. You know, like you have, I mean, and that's part of the world we live in now, how connected it is. But it's not a big deal for you and I to pick up the phone and start chatting or whatever about something. So, all right, question number 4.
Okay.
What are you least excited about in the industry, or maybe even like a little worried about?
I think that the thing I'm least excited about in the industry are either not being able to or fighting change. Because the one thing that I've learned is that if you don't educate and innovate, you die. And so I think that we've done really well with that over the last 3 years, but I'm terrified of when something comes up like Snapchat. Like there's so many people fighting Snapchat right now, but they don't realize that it could be used for bad, but it really can be used great for good in our marketing efforts. And I did fight it for a little while, but I feel like if you fight it and you don't grow with it, then it could definitely take you down with a lot of things, not necessarily just Snapchat, but that's one of the things that scares me. And the second thing that scares me is just anybody out there that decides they want to do what we do and have the same burning desire or drive to do what we do as much as I do.
Right.
That scares me.
Right. And we talked about that a little bit too. Like it just takes a while for people to grow their business too. And I don't worry so much about like somebody taking over our market, just because I feel like I could see it coming way before it happens. I mean, you and I talked a lot about this. Like it's taken us years to build our business. It didn't just happen overnight. Exactly. Sometimes it feels like it because like you're working so hard, but I think you could see a lot of that coming, and you can adapt and change to, you know, to either let them fit into the market or just close the door, you know. So question number 5, why do you think you're successful?
Well, oftentimes I still question whether or not I'm really that successful. So, but you know, let's
assume you are successful.
I'm kind of my own worst enemy in that situation. But I think where my success comes from is I have failed at times in my life, and I wouldn't necessarily say pertaining to photography, but other things in life. And I have failed in certain aspects of photography, but I'm terrified to fail, and I have an incredible drive and desire to succeed. So I guess there's 2 different things that really pull together in the middle and drive me. So,
absolutely.
But honestly, I think the number 1 biggest thing is just a hard work ethic. You know, I really work hard at making things go forward, and I really try to listen to the things that are going on in the industry and adapt.
Right.
So
you know what I would say for you, and we didn't talk about this before, so this is just bringing you. If I were to say why I think you're successful, I think it's your communication skills. I think you're a really strong communicator naturally, and so that's one of your strengths. You communicate with your friends, you communicate with your family, you communicate with your clients, and I just think that naturally happens. And when people feel like you're approachable and that they can ask you questions and they can be in a place where they maybe don't know, like in our industry, I don't think anybody really knows how to buy photography. So if they feel vulnerable coming in here, but you make your communication so good that I think they feel very comfortable, and then they can ask you questions and they can shop with you, and I think that's one reason you're super successful too. So
you should probably talk to my wife.
All right, question number 6. Where do you find your inspiration?
I mean, surprisingly, I'm not good about going out and checking out other people's websites. Like, I've never been good at it. So I don't really look at any of my competition or anything. I think, like you said, I've kind of found my style, what I like. Sometimes I definitely do go through a day and think, man, I gotta do something new because I feel like I'm stuck in a rut. I think that one of my biggest forms of inspiration, it might be a surprise to him, but is Nate, my nephew, who does my video for me. He's you know, we oftentimes are driving, and we're in the car together, and he's my sounding board. He oftentimes will talk sense, sometimes he talks gibberish and stupidity, but but no, I think honestly he's probably one of my bigger sources of inspiration, just because he helps me through things. Kind of like yesterday when we were talking about pricing stuff. You know, some of the things you said were valuable, but really a lot of it was just bouncing it off you and hearing how it comes back.
Yeah.
That really helps me. So
like,
that's probably what inspires me the most. Other than that, I mean, yeah.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Inspiration is an interesting thing in our industry because you don't want to be a copycat.
Yeah.
And you also just don't want your stuff to look like everybody else's.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, inspiration is hard, so you have to find it. And like I said, sometimes it's just, and I agree with you about people like Nate and stuff that are just, they're in our industry, but they're a little bit outside of our industry. And sometimes that's better to talk to them, and they can say, well, have you thought about this? Have you seen this or whatever from an objective standpoint? Then sometimes talking to photographers that will tell you the same thing that we've heard on stage at Imaging USA for 5 straight years. So, I mean, sometimes going outside of the industry, even just a little bit can give you some inspiration.
I think one thing that I see a lot in our industry, and it gets really annoying, is all the people that want to take credit for everything. You know, I get it. I've probably even done it at times where you see a picture and like, that person copied me. You know, we get people that are local that are like, you know, he got that idea from me. And honestly, what cracks me up about it is, if you know me and you know my lifestyle, I am too busy to give a crap about what you're doing. Like, I mean, honestly, friends like Allison, when she says, "Did you see the shoot?" And I'm like, she's a good friend. I should have seen that. I should have seen that.
Do that to us all the time. They're like, "Hey, did you see
I'm like,
this?"
I'm the biggest jerk in the world.
I'm like, if you didn't post it 40 times, I probably didn't see it. You know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know?
And I try to go through and see what genuine friends are doing.
But sometimes that happens during the slow season.
But even sometimes, like, I can look at a picture and be like, "Oh, that's great," and like it on Instagram, but you know, you might title it something differently, and like you bring it up.
You're right. So, yeah, I don't know if I saw that. Well, awesome. So those are your 6 questions. Thanks so much for doing this. Thanks so much for hosting Alice and I up here in Idaho.
Absolutely.
It's been a blast, and we got a couple more days left, so it's gonna be fun. So thanks so much.